Welcome, Reds, to the latest 100% United transfer special. I'm your host, TC, and here's my co-host, Scott. Hello, mate.
Hello, pal.
The lads are back in training in a week. We set off on tour in a fortnight. It's time to start sealing some deals, Ed. Aaron Wan-Bissaka looks set for a medical this week. There's loads of other rumours to get our teeth into too. From Neymar to Christian Eriksen. Is the signing of Wan-Bissaka going to kickstart that summer mayhem you've been waiting for, Scott?
Yeah, you'd hope so, don't you? That's just dragging on, and I knew that nothing could happen with Wan-Bissaka before the Under-21 tournament finished, but now it's pretty much over. Let's hope we get it over the line this week.
Yes, well, that's what we're hearing, isn't it? That as soon as he gets back, he's going to head to Manchester, get a medical done. It seems like the bits and bobs have been ironed out, and he's going to be a United player before we return for pre-season.
Yeah, which is exactly what Solskjaer wanted, right? He wanted all of his transfers to be done by the time we started pre-season. I hope this isn't all of them, but it's just good to get another one over the line. Well, let's hope so anyway.
Yes, it will be, buddy. It will indeed. Obviously, he's travelling back from the Euro Under-21s. He'll be back this week, and there is time to get it done. And look, man, he's a fantastic defender. He will add something to our defence. He'll add that pace. Look, Ollie's obviously trying to add some pace to the side. His signing's already been Daniel James, and now it looks like Wan-Bissaka too. So he's obviously trying to push some pace back in that side.
I think that this might mean that Dalot's going to be playing further forward, like Ollie liked to do, and Wan-Bissaka will be used as more of a customary right back.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So we're keeping our fingers crossed on that one. It looks, as we said on the last pod, the deal looks to be done. It's just a matter of waiting for him to arrive back, and we'll have our latest right back, mate.
Yeah, as soon as every single newspaper reports it, you've got to think there's a lot of truth to it.
Well, sometimes, mate. You never know. Some other good news this week, mate. Juan Mata signed a new contract. Some really nice words from him. Really seems to love the club. Obviously he's slowing down as a player. He wasn't so fast to begin with. But I believe it's his influence off the pitch that is sealed this contract for Juan Mata. He's a proper gentleman, a proper football man. And he's one of the players in that dressing room who I believe understands what Manchester United is all about.
Definitely. A good influence to the younger lads, not just with his attitude on the pitch, but his desire to play for Man United. And he's also an ally for David de Gea, don't forget.
Precisely, and we'll get onto him in just a second. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also had some really nice words for Juan Mata, echoing basically what Mata said himself. This is the time, and saying that Juan Mata is a fantastic influence. It's been a credit to the club. And like I say, playing-wise, I'm not so keen on Mata staying, but as a man, I'm very happy he's staying.
Well, it depends where, right? I think when he was pushed out to that right wing, he didn't really thrive because it's really a pace decisive position. But I think if he can move into number 10 position, we might be able to see a bit more of his intricate play, benefit the team a bit more.
Yeah, there was a time, wasn't there, when Mata was out on the right and Herrera was playing to the right of the three in midfield, and they linked up beautifully for a little while. But since they got broken up, it has been a bit disjointed over there, hasn't it?
It has, and I think there's a few areas around the pitch that we need to improve on, and he can definitely play a couple of positions. Isn't going to have the hump when he comes off the bench for the last 10, 15 minutes if we need a bit of creativity, and is still a free kick specialist.
Yeah, and don't forget, we've got Daniel James as well, who can play on the right now as well. So we have got reinforcements, and obviously he's the opposite to Mata. He's bags of pace, and he's young. So, that's a nice combo over there, and nice options on the right now.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. As you mentioned, David de Gea, very, very good friends with Juan Mata. Ander Herrera, one of his best pals, has obviously gone to PSG already. Apparently, we've upped the offer to David de Gea from $300,000 a week to $350,000 a week, which is what Dave was asking for. And it looks like the tide's turning, and Dave is actually going to stay at Old Trafford for another 5 years, mate.
Be great news. Will be great news. I think maybe his drop-off in form is a big catalyst towards this. When other teams aren't fighting over each other for you, maybe you realise the grass isn't always greener.
Yeah, when Luis Enrique stood down from the Spain job, I wondered how it affect Dave. I wondered whether he might think, right, a new boss is going to come in, I'm going to have a fresh start with Spain, and I'm going to have a fresh start with my club as well. That's what I was worried about. I thought he'd think, right, well, this is a good time for me to look for pastures new. But it looks like it's gone the other way. And Dave now seems to be swinging towards staying at Old Trafford and looking to win that Spain spot back too.
Yeah, and as you just mentioned, he is best mates with Ander Herrera. And I'm sure that his agent or he himself would have said to Herrera to get someone from PSG to maybe give him a call or whatever. And if that never came through, then maybe his confidence gets dropped a bit.
Yeah, but as we have mentioned on the pod before, I do think we play too much into this mates thing, that mates and mates influencing moves. Look, if you're already thinking of going to PSG, then it's a massive bonus that Herrera's already there. But you don't move to a club just because your pal's there. Not if you've got any substance as a footballer anyway, I don't think.
No, I wasn't quite saying that. I was just saying Herrera's obviously talking to someone within PSG about the move.
Yeah.
And Dave would have maybe said, if they're interested in me, then you get them to give me a call, or etc., whatever it is. And if that call never came, then maybe he realizes they don't really want him as much as he thought they did.
Yeah, and let's look at it logically as well. If I was looking to win my national team spot back as a goalkeeper, I think PSG is an awful move. You've basically got most of the games in the season where you're not really going to be doing anything at all. You'll be winning 4-0, 4-1, 5-0, 5-1, whatever. It doesn't really make a difference who you got in goal. And it comes down to those big Champions League games where you got to perform. And historically, in the looking back in the Champions League this season, that's where Dave faltered. Mm-hmm. So, Dave's built his reputation by being peppered with shots in the Premier League. Obviously, the eyes of the world are on the Premier League every week. And Dave's built his reputation that way. I think it'd be a disaster for his Spain career if he went to PSG, personally.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So moving on, mate. Christian Eriksen of Tottenham. He said he wants to leave. Apparently he packed up his house before the Champions League final, which is not very palatable for the Spurs fans. Real are not going down that route anymore by the looks of things. They seem to be signing all kinds of other players and have a half an eye on Pogba too. So we're being linked to Eriksen again. It was floated that he had denied us, he had turned us down, but I'm hearing that's not true. Would you take Christian Eriksen, mate? He's a cracking little player.
Yeah, I think I would. He would, again, add a whole new dimension to our midfield. I think he would add a lot to our team immediately. I don't want to get too caught up about it because it's the kind of player who we get thrown into negotiations to up the deals for someone else. So, yeah, I wouldn't pay it that much attention if I were you.
No, but he is looking for a move. He has stated that very firmly. And if other options do fall through, obviously United have got a massive following in Scandinavia. It'd be a good move for him personally. And I just wonder if, it depends obviously, if Pogba goes, then we're going to be needing bodies and really, really quality in there as well as bodies. He would be a nice option, but yeah, you're right. It is one that we're just going to have to wait and see with, I think.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up too high about that, mate.
I never do these days, mate, after Ronaldinho all those years ago. Gazzetta dello Sport, the weekend, I was reading again linking us to Paulo Dybala. That one's still popping up, popping down. Obviously, Juve are showing an interest in Paul Pogba too, and that's one of the names floated in a swap deal. Dybala is one of those players I would like in, but he's not one that I would stake our summer on personally.
No, I think a lot's going to be decided after one big move is going to create a domino effect of a lot of others. The 1st of July, a lot of players' contracts are changed with release clauses and what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this is another player who's playing on internationals right now. Wouldn't happen for a couple of weeks, if anything. I don't know if sometimes they just create all these rumours because the players aren't physically here to actually deny them.
Yes, I think that is one tactic, certainly. Someone's away. It's like the Matthias de Ligt scenario. We knew, didn't we? He was off in the Nations League. Nothing was going to happen. We've got Mino Raiola as an agent. And yeah, of course the stories are coming out every day because it's already upped his transfer fee and upped his signing on fee and all the rest of the 20% for Raiola as well.
Yeah, you're right.
So one of those players, mate, whose contract is up, sort of not up, the release clause comes into play, is Antoine Griezmann. It's an interesting one, this, mate. It's one of those ones that it seems that Barcelona are now being linked to Neymar returning. Messi's got his opinions in Barca and obviously has a massive influence. Griezmann's one of those ones that it still seems like it might happen for us. I know it seems bonkers. I know it seems out there, but it's still one of those ones that I do have a bit of hope with, mate.
I completely agree with you, mate. Completely agree with you. I think Barcelona have their hands full with trying to get Neymar back. And Barca are actually always good at rejecting rumours, at refuting claims that players are going to come in or players are going to leave. And given they haven't really said anything about Griezmann, makes you think that something might be on the cards. I don't think a deal has already been in place with Barcelona.
No, I don't think so.
If anything, the lack of action from everybody is going to be detrimenting Antoine Griezmann's feelings about it all. And it's sort of the same with David de Gea, is that when there's not a dozen teams fighting over him, you choose the one who wants you the most.
Yes. You know what I like about the Griezmann idea is that, we're hearing rumours now that Ollie's going to go with Rashford as his number one striker. He's going to continue with Rasha as his number one striker and maybe get a sort of cheap, what we call it cheap these days, 30 to 40 million pound striker to back him up to replace Lukaku. Now, this scenario, without Griezmann, I'm not so keen on. I'm not so keen on Rashford being our number one striker. As we said on the pod before, I don't think he's quite ready. However, if we got someone like Griezmann in, who was drifting around him, playing all the positions around Rashford, Griezmann's going to top that team up with loads of goals. And it covers the times when Rashford's not banging them in. And it just covers it over. I was thinking about the other day, mate, because people talked about Lukaku going through big droughts. He hits a load of goals and he goes through big droughts. And it's true, he does. Mm-hmm. But there's been many great United players, strikers in the past who have gone through droughts as well. I wouldn't say as consistently as Lukaku does, but there's definitely been a number of them who have gone through these little droughts. But the difference was then is you had all these other players chipping in with goals. So United weren't losing those games. Whereas when Lukaku goes on a drought, we don't score any goals and we lose the game. So that's what I like about Griezmann. I think he would allow us to play Rashford as our number one striker, as I believe Ollie wants to do.
Yeah, he ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't he? He occupies that right-hand side that has been a huge area that we've needed to improve on the last few years. He can play up front as well. When we need him to. He has a great ability to get everybody involved.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if Alexis Sanchez is still on the team. If he is, then he can also play up front. Anthony Martial can also play up front. So I think it's going to be a bit more dynamic than everyone thinks it is, written on paper.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait and see with that, Mum. I'll be absolutely over the moon if we could get it. Obviously, it would be one of those ones where you can't quite believe it's happened, but it would be a game changer. As you say, he can play on the right. He can also drift in behind a striker, and he can play as a 9-2. So it would, I think it would relieve the pressure on the names you mentioned, your Rashfords and your Martials, and of course create more chances for them as well. Because Griezmann's not just a goal scorer; he's a fantastic playmaker too.
He's world class, mate. Absolutely world class, and he's exactly what we need.
He is. If we can pull it off, God, Ollie and Ed, I'll be giving you all the credit in the world. It'd be amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And to be honest, with Atletico looking like they're odds on to get Joao Felix, it looks like he's their ready-made replacement for him.
Yes, mate. I poured through the Spanish papers over the weekend, and that does look like it's going to happen. Realistic. It looks like Joao Felix is going to go to Atletico, 106 mil. Mm-hmm. And he's a cracking player. Good luck to the lad, but it looks like it's going to happen. And yeah, it would open the door for us to swoop.
Like, I can't imagine they're going to sign Joao Felix, especially not for 100+ million, if they didn't think that they were going to receive that money and have to replace Antoine Griezmann next week.
Oh, Griezmann's a goner. It just depends where he goes. Simple as that. On to the old centre-backs, mate. It's like Groundhog Day again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Koulibaly has been linked again, City and Liverpool, but suddenly the price has gone down now. They're linking them to other clubs.
I told you.
It's incredible.
I told you.
And no, I know.
The premium.
The old United premium is incredible. They're saying you pay the release clause. And then even the papers, they're saying, Liverpool, City, and the price has suddenly gone down 20 million.
It's too much for, if anything, quite an unproven centre-back. His top level of play has been the Champions League, in which he wasn't very good last year. I just don't see it for £100 million plus. But it seems like he's the only one out there who is, as you say, one of those defence-leading defenders.
Yes, and let's just remember, when Liverpool splashed £75 million on Virgil van Dijk, we were saying, they've been shredded there with for a guy from Southampton. I mean, how much was he playing in the Champions League for Southampton?
That's true.
0.
That is true.
75 million, and for Liverpool, that's been a game changer, mate. So I think, like I said before, we've signed a Lindelof, we've signed a Bailly, around a £40 million defenders, and that's what you get. You get £40 million defender. We need to go out there and buy a proper leader for our defence, like we keep on saying. And whether it's Koulibaly, whether it's someone else, it needs to be someone who we properly splash the cash, they come in. Because you know what, mate? We've always had strong centre-backs at United. Ever since I've known, ever since I've been watching us, from all through the 90s, every single team I've ever watched in United always had a strong centre-back. Until now.
Yeah, completely agree.
Literally until now, mate. It's they've just passed the baton on. Your Bruces, your Pallisters, your Stams, your Johnsons, your Rios, your Vidiches. All throughout lineage, but now we are, for the first time ever in my United watching life, we don't have a strong centre back who leads that defence, and we do need one, mate. We really do.
We definitely do. I just hate these premiums that have been chucked around. And you're right, as soon as another team comes in sniffing for him, the price goes down 20, 30 million.
Yeah, but you know what? The money's not coming directly out of our pockets, although it is in some way. And look, 20 million extra to get the player we really need is worth it. Because the thing is, you can spend 40 million and 40 million and 40 million and it can not work. And you've ended up spending, absolutely loads of cash. And all those players, you know what will happen if we sell one of these centre-backs. We'll sell them for like 7 million or something like that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like Dally Brind.
Yeah. Harry Maguire, he liked that tweet, didn't he, at the weekend? But you're telling me that he's come out and denied that now?
Well, he didn't deny it. He just said everyone's been there liking something accidentally. He's on holidays, might have had a few beers, who knows?
But he might have done it on purpose and now said he's done it by accident just to appease Leicester. It was said you'd be a fan favourite at United, right?
Yeah, it was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. It might just be to wind everyone up. Who knows?
It might well be. He might be having a bit of a laugh. One paper will say United are going to beat City in the race for Maguire. Another paper will say City are going to beat United in the race for Maguire. It does look like a two-horse race, us v City, for Harry Maguire.
I think this is a perfect example of they write it one way and you get a ton of people reading it. You write it the other way, you get a ton of people reading it. And there's no promises attached to it. You're still going to get a lot of readers to the article. You're still going to get a lot of hits on the link or what have you. It's the old journalism clickbait, mate.
It is. And with Maguire, what do you think of Harry Maguire? Do you rate him highly, mate?
Not that highly, but it's the same sort of thing you were just saying with Virgil van Dijk. He looked great at Southampton, like Maguire does at Leicester, but is he worth being the most expensive defender ever? I don't know.
Yeah, obviously not at the moment, but it's the way he reacts to the move, isn't it? If he grabs this team by the scruff of the neck, starts banging in headers from the corners to start with, he'll win a place in my heart. Yeah, we'll see, mate.
Do you think he could put up with the pressure of being this massive, of the price tag being over him and having the pressure of being a Man United defender?
I don't know. I would say he seems to have reacted really well to become an international, being given responsibility in the England team. For me, he's excelled from the responsibility he's been given. That's the bit I like about him. For me, there's other options I prefer. But there is a benefit from having an English guy who knows the Premier League. He's a tough guy too, plays the ball well. Look, if it's no one or Maguire, 100% I'm in for Maguire. But I do have a few other options that I prefer.
It's like when we signed Pogba and broke the world record transfer fee. And here we are 3 years later. The transfer fee's been broken a few times since then. But still, every single article will have in it, world's most expensive player.
Yeah.
And it sort of creates this immense pressure, this unrealistic pressure almost on these players. And I don't think Harry Maguire would be able to deal with that.
Yeah, and let's remember that Pogba now is he wasn't even half the price of the world record.
Yeah.
He's less than 50% of what the world record is now, right?
Yeah.
So, and we did say at the time, mate, we discussed it with, between ourselves, that either Pogba will perform for us or we will sell him for more than we bought him. And that's a guarantee. We're going to sell him for more than we bought him, 89 million.
Yeah.
So, in terms of investment, it's a good idea. Unfortunately, he's a blooming difficult character and he's had a bad influence on a lot of people in the club. So
yeah, but say we buy Maguire for 80 million. Are you telling me that we'd be able to sell him in 3 years' time if it doesn't really work out for more than 80 million? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. But I do think in 3 years' time, then, the normal price for centre back will probably be about 65, 70 million. And so it won't look such a bad deal like the Pogba one doesn't.
Yeah, crazy money.
Yeah, really is. Matthias de Ligt, again, Spanish papers at the weekend. Marker particularly was saying, look, they look to have nailed him down. PSG also in the running, they didn't mention us at all. Obviously, the English papers always push our name in there, but looking in the foreign papers, Italian papers, Spanish papers, they aren't mentioning us at all with de Ligt now. Do you think that's a dead duck?
I think so, mate. I really do. It's a shame.
Do you think it always was?
To be honest, I think it might have been a name that Mino Raiola's chucking around because he knew that it could up bids everywhere else.
100%.
I don't think de Ligt ever came out and said anything about us. It stinks of Raiola just playing his old tricks.
It does. And it looks like a move to Juve. And actually, I must say the Italian league is looking like it might be a bit competitive next year.
Yeah, Juventus will still win it in an absolute canter, mate.
Maybe you got Maurizio Sarri at the wheel. You never know what you never know what he'll get up to. Although he did get his suit out, didn't he, for his unveiling?
He did. Unbelievable.
He looked like he'd had a wash as well.
Yeah, couldn't believe it.
Unbelievable.
Trampy.
Right, on to Paul Pogba. Again, Juventus being linked to Paul Pogba. We're hearing now Adidas are putting pressure on United to keep Paul Pogba. Now, this is something I can't accept at all. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer makes the decision, and then the players put on the Adidas kit. Adidas do not dictate to us who we keep, who we sign, etc. If they want to help us out with some cash to buy someone, no probs at all. But that's something that I hate to hear, and I hope it's not true.
Aren't Real Madrid and Juventus both sponsored by Adidas? So why would it make any difference?
Hit the nail on the head, buddy.
Yeah,
absolutely. The latest rumour here is that PSG offered us a straight swap, Paul Pogba for Neymar, and we rejected it because Neymar's wages were too high. Is that a load of baloney, mate?
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Why would they offer a straight swap a player who's worth 200 million? They're going to get at least 200 million for him, for a player who they would be able to buy for 150. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because the Neymar, apparently the deal is that he was promised that he could leave for the same amount that he came this summer.
Yeah, but if you were to have offered us 150 for Pogba, we'd probably accept it.
No, I'm agreeing with you, bud. So, they're looking at around 200 for Neymar. You're totally correct. So, yeah, it does seem mental.
And you know what? It's also, as we said a few weeks ago, and for the last few weeks, in fact, that once a sniff of something comes out, that every single news source, they start reporting the same thing. And if this was a real story, it would be one of the biggest swap deals ever, one of the biggest transfers ever. It would have been absolutely everywhere. It would have been plastered on every wall you could have possibly seen. So the fact that it was only written by one journalist in The Independent, who are never really good with their football stories, let's be honest, stick to the cricket. It would have just been absolutely everywhere, mate. And I just don't believe it. You can't believe that such little smoke would emerge from such a massive fire. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Although what I will say, mate, is if they do want to do it, can they do the thing we always do? Can they just pay the difference in the wages like we do to every other blooming club? It'd be nice for another club to be paying one of our players to play for us for once, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And they're richer than us, so why not?
Obviously, it'd be nice, right? Okay, yeah, we'll do that. We'll only pay him 150, so you can pay the other 750.
Mug someone else off instead of getting mugged off ourselves.
Yeah, it would be really nice, but it's also not just their decision as to where he goes, right? It's not like other sports where the players don't have such a huge say, and it's the kind of thing that I don't think Neymar is so nailed on to go back to Barcelona that it's only just a recipe for disaster for all of us. We're all going to get our hopes up, and then he's going to come out and say, no, he doesn't want to play for us.
Although in saying that, mate, Neymar going to Barcelona may open that door for Griezmann to come to United.
Yeah, you're right. So let's just hope that happens.
Yeah, they're talking about signing Griezmann and Neymar in some papers. I mean, come on. Griezmann, Neymar, Messi and Suarez.
And Coutinho and Dembele.
You can't play all of them. It seems ridiculous, and Messi obviously prefers Neymar returning, and Messi's got a massive amount of power at Barcelona, so maybe Neymar kicking up a fuss is going to benefit United, but not in terms of him playing for us, in terms of Antoine Griezmann coming our way.
On paper, it'd be fantastic, right? He's one of the most talented players in the world. But is he really the kind of player you'd want?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would, buddy. Come on. This is the thing, right? As United fans, sometimes we get a bit stupid. We say, we don't want him, his attitude, we don't want him. The truth is, mate, Neymar's one of the best players in the world. 100%. Of course I want him. I mean, who are we playing instead of him?
Anthony Martial, right?
Yeah. So come on. I mean, how many times has Anthony Martial been on the old Golden Boot list? It's not even comparable, pal. And yeah, we can talk.
No, I'm saying that type of player, like that type of massive superstar who puts himself before the team. I don't think it's the kind of player we should be looking at in terms of type of person, let alone player.
I don't know, mate. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Cristiano Ronaldo played for us, and many, many people said he played for himself. Now, sure, he did play for himself to some extent, but he also played massively for the team as well in terms of scoring goals, setting up goals. Look, if we could get a sniff of Neymar, we'd be mental to turn it down. We really would. Look at the situation we're in, pal. If someone like Neymar wanted to come to us with no Champions League football, think of the influence it'd have on the football world. It would be such a statement from United. even that's worth it. Yeah, I would be in for it, mate. Would you not want him?
Well, I think the first thing I thought of when I read this morning was that it was complete nonsense.
Yes, I know.
It wouldn't even be worth the fish and chip paper tomorrow, do you know?
Yes, I know, mate.
And so I just don't want to connect too much heart to it because I just don't think it's even possible.
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe we are a bit mental sometimes as United fans. We can find any reason to say, oh no, we don't want him, we don't want him. But we're talking about Neymar here, so as you say, it's probably nonsense. Let's not waste any more time on it.
Yeah.
One thing I did see, mate, is I was watching a few old videos. I was watching a few things with Keane talking about Pogba, Roy Keane talking about Pogba. And I know Roy Keane sometimes likes to just shoot his mouth. But I was watching one thing when he basically was criticising Pogba and saying the problem he has is that best players make their team better. And he doesn't think Pogba does. And it just stuck out for me. And I thought, you know what, Keano, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. Paul Pogba makes this team worse more than he makes it better, I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I think there's more games where we're relying on Paul Pogba. We're thinking he's going to be this world beater. We're thinking he's going to score a brace. We're thinking he's going to set people up left, right and centre. And because of those expectations, there's just this hole in the team all the time. And when he does turn up, oh, God, he's amazing. Look, don't get me wrong. When Pogba's on fire, he's sensational. But when he goes missing, he really goes missing. And Keano's spot on. Keano is a boy who made every team he played in better.
Yeah, he was a leader and he led by example. And as we said last week, I don't think Paul Pogba can be the leader of this team. He can be a superstar, he can be a world-class player. I don't think he can be a leader, though.
I don't think either. As you said, one of a group of under-leaders, but not the main guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, Romelu Lukaku, his move to Inter Milan still seems on. Obviously, we're holding out for 75 million for him. Icardi is still being touted as a sort of swap replacement. And Skriniar's name is still floating about as well. What do you reckon, pal? Should we just take the cash for Lukaku or take one of those options? Icardi, look, he's a fantastic striker. Comes with a few problems. He's got his missus as his agent. It's a bit weird. And then Skriniar, God, he's a fantastic centre back. What do you reckon, mate? Should we take advantage of this situation or what?
Again, I haven't heard any concrete news that any bid has been put in. I'd just like something like that to happen, and then we can have something to negotiate instead of just having all these rumours and all these murmurs about different things here and there. But you never know. It could be a bargaining tactic for Ed, and there could be some negotiations going on behind the scenes that they don't want to get rid of Skriniar, but he's the only one we want. Who really knows, mate? I just wish something would come in that was actually concrete.
Yeah, well, of course, Antonio Conte was close to signing Lukaku, wasn't he, when he came to us? And Conte and Mourinho went head to head.
Mm-hmm.
And Lukaku ended up choosing us over them. I'm pretty sure at the time he said Mourinho was the best manager in the world. Did he not?
He did, definitely.
And now he wants to leave Conte as the best manager in the world now.
Who knows, mate?
It's an interesting one, that. Look, Lukaku said he wants out, hasn't he? He said Conte is the best manager in the world. It seems, out of all the rumours, that seems like the most. If I had to bet on one of them, I would say, apart from Wan-Bissaka, I'd say that Lukaku is probably the chip leader in terms of, if you had to say this guy's going to go to this club, Lukaku to Inter, it seems realistic, mate.
Yeah, but again, a bin hasn't come in, mate, and it doesn't sound like there's anything else but just whispers looking over the fence.
Okay, mate, on to the Women's World Cup. Quite a bit of drama there. We had England v Cameroon. Obviously, historically, we've been told that the women's game is much cleaner. There's no dive and there's no dirty play. It's all the men's fault. But it appears that when the eyes of the world are on the Women's World Cup, they can be just as badly behaved as the men, mate.
It was shocking, mate. It really was.
Incredible stuff. We had spitting, we had stamping, we had refusing to start play.
Yeah.
Just standing there and the ref saying, come on, you got to start. And they're like, nah, we're not going to. Apparently there was a fight in the hotel between the Cameroon fans over tickets. And the game wasn't even sold out, so they're crackers. But the England team was staying in that hotel. Cameroon were also staying in that hotel. And the England guys, Phil Neville and the girls were saying, God, this might be a bit tasty today. God, it was absolutely disgraceful, mate, wasn't it?
It was. It's just funny that throughout the last few weeks, all we hear is, yeah, the men's game could really learn a lot from watching the women's game. And I guess not.
Well, mate, when the pressure comes up and when the eyes of the world are on you, things change, don't they?
Yeah, they definitely do.
Look, it's been great. And there are things that the men's game can learn off the women's game and vice versa. But it's not all as clear as people make out.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And we had our boss, our women's boss, Casey Stoney, talking about VAR. She said that it's ruining the game and it really needs real hard work on it before it can be accepted. It's kind of what we said last week, mate, right?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of earning out that's got to happen, and it's got to happen soon because, again, it's just going to start stinking the place up.
Do you think it is 100% here to stay? Can you see them doing a total U-turn, or do you think it is 100% here to stay?
I think it is here to stay, mate.
Yeah.
We just got to figure out a version of it that works for everybody.
Do you think they will dilute it down and say, look, we're only going to use VAR in these specific situations, and that's it? Do you think they might do that? Because at the moment, it seems to be getting a bit out of control. I mean, like the goalie situation now. Look, if a goalie steps off their line, it's not permitted. That is illegal.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we going to do with that? Because if the video footage shows that someone's off their line, even if it's by a millimetre, that's a fact. So how can we ignore that if we've got VAR in play? It's very complicated.
Yeah, and all this, the linesmen are supposed to keep their flags down until the play's over, and then they can bring them back up. There's so much to implement into the game immediately that it's going to take a little bit of time for it to get the way they want it.
Yeah, and we had the penalty the other day in the women's game where it was such a stonewaller, but the ref still went to VAR to double check it. And you know, we waited. Again, we were wasting time. You're talking about 10 minutes injury time or VAR time, whatever they want to call it. Look, referee's going to use it as a comfort blanket, and that's not its purpose. You know, refs still need to make their decisions. Like I said, football's the most popular sport in the world because of the flow. If we start interrupting that flow, or the powers that be start interrupting that flow, I can't see it adding to the game. Sure, we can all talk about VAR drama in inverted commas, but, you know, the crowd fighting is drama, but we don't want it. You know, it's still drama. It's still a story. Oh, look, the crowd's having a tussle. It's drama, but it's not the right kind of drama.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
On to more positive news, mate. Copa America, Alexis Sanchez, 2-2. Assist as well. He said he's always happy with his country. People are saying, oh, is he having a dig at United? Well, you know, not necessarily. He looks like he might be coming back into a bit of form, mate.
Yeah, but he started the pre-season last year pretty well as well, and everyone thought the same thing. And we know how that ended. I think it was a bit of a dig at us.
Yeah.
You know, I just hope he doesn't burn every bridge that he has with us, because I think he could definitely offer the team something if it's maybe in a reduced role. But no one's ever going to get over the fact that he earns 400 grand a week or 500 grand a week. So something's got to happen with that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you had to bet one way or the other, do you think Alexis Sanchez will be here come the end of the transfer window, or do you think we'll get him off the wage bill?
I would actually think he'd stay with us, mate.
Yeah,
he's going to be with us. Yeah, because I don't think we're going to find a suitor for him. I don't think he's going to leave and take a pay cut elsewhere. I said to you a few months ago, I think he's the perfect bargaining chip for Griezmann for him to go to Atletico. But I don't think it's going to happen.
But of course, we're saying they got João Felix in.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis might be perfect for that. He really might be. He might be perfect to go back to the Spanish league. He might reinvent himself there. Look, I just can't see from the depths he's gone to at United. It's a long, long way back. And to me, Alexis doesn't seem like he quite has the substance to bounce back from such a low.
Yeah, but I just don't see him taking a pay cut and moving elsewhere, mate. I don't see it.
So what we'll end up doing is paying half his wages like we were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah, that'll work.
You know, at this stage, I probably would go for that, but I hate paying wages for a player who's playing at another club. It turns my stomach.
Yeah, me too. Definitely, because then it just sets the precedent that anyone can do it. And before you know it, Pogba's going to go somewhere and he's going to go to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid are going to say, yeah, well, we can't pay all those wages. You're going to have to pay half his wages. So we're going to lose our best player and still have to pay for it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Real Madrid can stick that where the sun doesn't shine, mate. That's not going to happen.
Let's hope so.
On to the Euro Under-21s, mate. We were lauding Dean Henderson, weren't we, last time on the pod, saying what a great attitude he has, saying what a great season he's had too.
Mm-hmm.
He had an absolute nightmare, didn't he, for the 21s, as they bowed out of the competition. Real shame for the guy. Fair play to him. He held his hands up afterwards. He said, we let everyone down, we let the country down, I've let everyone down. He had a shocker, didn't he, mate?
He did. He really did. And it wasn't too much better tonight. Got nutmegged again, and England couldn't win a single game.
Yeah, real shame. And Wan-Bissaka didn't play tonight.
No, he didn't. Or the last game, no.
No. But yeah, Dean Henderson, look, as a goalkeeper, he's in his infancy of his career. Mistakes do happen. Don't forget, let's remember David de Gea. That one bobbled in at West Brom, didn't it? Early days. And, he was getting battered around. Refs weren't protecting him at all. He was looking really shaky. But he bounced back from that. Henderson, for me, he does have the character to bounce back from this in a positive way. But it was a real shame because that goal that went through him, it was shades of De Gea at the end of the last season, which I thought we'd let go.
Yeah, first thing I said to you was he's done a Taibbi.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, and it wasn't too far off a Tybee. I wouldn't say it's quite on a par.
No, didn't go through his legs.
That was shocking that day, wasn't it? Dear me. How did we ever get Tybee in? How did that ever happen?
I really don't know.
Fergie, blind spot for a few years with the keeper, wasn't it? We had a bit of a shocker after Schmeichel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, how did Bosnich come back?
Yeah. And even when we signed Edwin van der Sar, look, Van der Sar was basically having a retirement at Fulham, an early retirement at Fulham. He was not very good for Fulham at all. And then out of the blue, we took him, and he was an absolute revelation, wasn't he?
He was. Really made us better.
And of course gave us one of our greatest moments in history in Moscow when he saved that Anelka penalty and sent us all into ecstasy. But yeah, Fergie did. He had a few years where we were bumbling around with the keepers, weren't we? Tybee, dear me. Even Barthez, he was a shocker too for us, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was pretty clownish sometimes.
But it just goes to show, mate. You know, that was a World Cup winner, lauded as one of the greatest goalkeepers on the planet. He came to United, and the truth is Fabian Barthez couldn't handle the pressure at United.
Definitely not.
So we talk about these youngsters, we talk about these other players who can't handle the pressure, but World Cup winners come to United and can fall apart too.
It can happen to everybody. It can happen to everybody, mate.
It's a behemoth of a club, mate, and we need to get it back into a positive behemoth instead of a negative behemoth. Because at the moment, it's such a blooming powerful club, it can destroy people, can't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And you still trusting Ollie to take us back to the top, mate? You still trusting Ollie to do the business this summer, rebuild the team? As I say, he seems to be putting some pace back in the team. I'm hoping Daniel James will be a flashback to Andrei Kanchelskis back in the early 90s when we had someone on the wing who was just such pace that it just terrifies people. And Danny James likes to sort of do a hit and run like Can used to do as well. So yeah, I'm hoping for that, mate.
Yeah, I think I am. I mean, I'm going to give him as much support as I possibly can. I just wish a lot of these deals would have happened by now that he wanted. I know he wanted 4 or 5 players, and here we are with one, and maybe one's going to happen this week. But it's not just him, right? Some of this blame still has to go on Woodward. I wish that the most important signing of the summer was supposed to be a director of football, and that's not going to happen now. So
No.
It's hard to shift your desires from one thing to another so quickly. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, I did say a few months ago that wasn't going to happen, didn't I?
You did.
Unfortunately, it's just so obvious. I've seen the dawdling before, and it's so obvious something goes quite. The club can seem so transparent sometimes. And look, they were the one who floated the idea in the first place. Just don't float the idea. Just don't give us all the idea that we need a director of football, and then just bumble around and don't get one in. It's crazy stuff.
It just makes you wonder who's really calling these decisions, right?
Yes, mate, and if for a club that's meant to be sort of PR savvy, we're making a lot of PR bloopers at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah, we definitely are.
It does seem a bit mad, but look, we're on the verge of signing Wan-Bissaka. We got Daniel James in already. We're hoping that's going to kickstart the summer. As we say, we're back in 1 week for pre-season, 2 weeks off on tour. What do you reckon, mate? We've got a fortnight to basically transform this side. We need to make a decision on Pogba pretty sharpish, in my opinion. We can't let this drag on and on and on. We've either got to say to him, there's no way you're leaving, 100% you're staying, or 100% you're going, and get him out of the club so we can rebuild. We can't let Paul Pogba dominate this summer. We need to take it by the blooming reins and lead it ourselves as a club.
Well, I think we've actually made that decision, and we're not going to let him go. And if anything, he's going to have to request a transfer, and we'll take it from there. But if anything, I think we've already made the decision not to let him go.
Do you really think we're just not going to allow him to leave?
Yeah, I do.
And how is that going to affect next season, mate? For me, now I would rather Pogba go. I just can't see next season not being a total mess. With Paul Pogba will get Ollie the sack if he stays. Honestly, he'll get him the sack or Ollie will walk. I just can't see Pogba turning over a new leaf at United now.
Well, let's hope he will, because again, he is our best player. And if we allow everyone to make the decisions as to where they go, especially after they're taking these bloody loyalty bonuses, then the place is just going to be a complete free-for-all, mate.
I know, mate. And look, yeah, I know he is our best player when he's on form. I do agree with you on that. And look, I've said before, if someone can turn over a new leaf, if they can start showing the commitment they need to show for the club, start putting the performances consistently in, I'd much rather be wrong about it. I'd much rather be wrong about Pogba. But we've seen him for the last 3 years. We've seen him in the youth team. We've seen him in the reserves. And we've seen this attitude throughout. I can't see it changing, mate. I think we're making a big mistake, not just chucking him out of the club.
Let's see what happens, mate, because, we don't make the decisions. And I see it that this is going to be a summer of us building our squad, not just dismantling it, because that's not going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. And you know me, mate. If the transfer window closes and Paul Pogba's still at the club, I'll reset it all and I'll give him another chance. Of course I will. I want United to be back on top of the game. I'm not going to write off a season and sulk and start moaning and slagging him off all the time. If the transfer window closes and he stays, I'll back him 100%. I think it will be a mistake, but there you go.
Yeah, let's wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely, bud. So look, we're keeping our fingers crossed for Wan-Bissaka. Looks like he'll be in soon. We've got Mata sealed to a new deal. David de Gea looks like he's going to stay as well. We're expecting big news this week. Thanks for tuning in again, Reds. Remember to subscribe, rate, comment and share. Follow us at United100 Podcast on Instagram and DM us with any questions. We'll be back in late on Thursday night UK time, ready for Friday breakfast. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, pal.
Cheerio, Reds.
Ta-ra.